Hey guys, welcome back, or maybe welcome for the first time to my channel, Wanderlusting Lawyer. In general, I talk about a topic near and dear to my heart and always on my mind, the Camino de Santiago. My experience was with the Camino Frances from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in the south of France, the French Pyrenees region, to the end to Santiago de Compostela in summer of 2018, in June and July. So a lot of my videos are applicable to many different Camino routes. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's specific to my experience, so the Camino Frances. I know I haven't posted a video in a while. I hope you didn't think I forgot about you guys. Certainly didn't forget about the Camino. But, you know, it's a little bit of a downtime right now. I think normally this is when planning would start again. I'm not sure what people's plans are in post-COVID world. I'm certainly not planning to do any international travel until I get the vaccine. Don't know when that'll be, but I follow the certain Facebook Camino groups, and I saw a question the other week asking, you know, if I only have 2 weeks to walk the Camino, is it still worth it? What itinerary would you recommend? And it made me want to make a video because, one, yes, it's absolutely still worth it. But two, there's no one answer to this. I think it depends on your goals, on your specific situation. And so I just thought it would be fun to speak about that. I just want to say to you guys, I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm unbelievably appreciative of all your support and, you know, your support for the channel. And every time you leave a comment, it always makes me smile. I always answer them. And so don't think that, you know, if you want to say something, please go ahead. Like, it makes me feel really good. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, but you enjoy these videos, I would appreciate it if you would just hit that subscribe button or at least throw a like on the video. So today I'm going to be presenting you with 3 different 2-week itineraries that I put together for the Camino Frances. Kind of for 3 different, you know, situations, and there are some different assumptions that they're the same assumptions that go into all of them, which I'll talk about. But first, I just want to briefly bring up a couple questions to ask yourself as you're listening, as you're if this applies to you, you know, because I think it'll affect which one that may work the best for you. So my first question is there any chance physically will you be able to return to do another Camino in the future? I think if your mindset is, I only get 2 weeks of vacation, I'm going to retire and, you know, I still have 30 years until retirement, there's no way I'm going to be able to do another one. Just, you know, that's fine. But once you do it one time, especially if you're only going to be able to do 2 weeks, I can almost guarantee you're going to try to find any way you can to go back. I mean, people have quit their jobs to just be able to go do the Camino, or you know, find a way to live and work in Spain and everything like that. So really, unless you think your physical limitations or something similar will prevent you from ever doing another Camino, you know, I would maybe suggest there would be certain itineraries I would suggest over others. If you know this is the only time you're going to do it, then I have an itinerary just for you. But relatedly, another thing to think about is how important getting this certificate in Santiago de Compostela is. This certificate is awarded if you at least walk the last 100 kilometers into Santiago. You need stamps on your passport to prove that, which I discussed in another one of my recent videos. And this requires at least 4 days to do it reasonably. So if getting the certificate is really important to you, you know, you're going to want to pick certain itineraries over others. Are you traveling alone? If you're traveling with a companion, it may be, you know, maybe you're really looking forward to meeting other people, but it may be less important to develop what we call a Camino family, to make like lasting relationships as you walk together every day. That's not to say it's not at all important, but if it's less important to you, then, you know, you may want to pick an itinerary that allows you to see more of the Camino rather than just going straight through for the traditional first 2 weeks. You know, or on the flip side, if you're craving solitude, then maybe you want to jump around, because then you're not going to see the same people, and you know, you can have passing conversations, but you know, there won't be any situations where people really want to walk with you and you have to uncomfortably say, you know, I'm sorry, but I want to just walk alone. And then finally, obviously, if there are any regions, cities, festivals, things like that you want to see or experience in different places, you'll need to figure out how to incorporate that in. And I never took a bus on the Camino. I never took any type of transportation. I just walked the whole way. I think the buses are fairly accessible in the bigger cities, and you know, there are obviously taxis, and we forget sometimes that's something that takes us an entire day to walk, you can be at in 15 minutes in a car. So you know, if you need to shuttle from place to place, there are many options for doing so. All right, so all three of these itineraries assume that you are traveling from North America or somewhere that you have to travel overnight to get there. I would highly recommend trying to get a flight that gets you in early in the morning into Europe, because you're still going to need to get to your starting point, which again, for this itinerary, I'm assuming is Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, the start of the Camino Frances in the very south of France. If you want to start instead in Roncesvalles and then you don't cross the Pyrenees Mountains, I mean, I love that. I highly recommend doing that, but it may be physical limitations. You can't. Then you get an extra day onto this itinerary, and you can add a day, you know, wherever you want to, or maybe just walk a little bit slower. But it assumes that you start in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and it also assumes you have to be back in the States by, you know, at work 2 Mondays later, so that you need to arrive by plane in the US on Sunday. So my first itinerary is called the Once in a Lifetimer. This will get you your certificate. It'll allow you to do 2 big chunks of the Camino, the beginning and the end, but you'll miss the whole middle part, which includes the Meseta, which a lot of people have different feelings about. Some people said it was boring, they hated it. Other people said that's where they had their spiritual awakening. I experienced the gamut of emotions there. I loved parts of it. I got horrible blisters and hated parts of it. So, but with this itinerary, you do skip that. So here's how it goes. You leave your home on Saturday, you arrive Sunday in, you know, wherever, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, London. You find your way to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port by local train, bus, taxi maybe. I personally had traveled by a couple different trains. I was in Montpellier already in the south of France, about 4 hours away. And then so Monday you really kick off your Camino. I will say, get to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port as early as you can. It's such a cute town. The food is phenomenal. French food, especially in that part. It's the Basque country, the Basque region. It's awesome. It's such a cute town. So you get there Sunday, you start your Camino Monday, you walk to Roncesvalles. There's a stop along the way called Orisson. I stayed there. I loved it. I love the camaraderie there, the people you meet that you'll stay with the rest of your Camino. But because you will be skipping a huge chunk of the Camino to be able to get your certificate at the end, I don't recommend that you stay there. You certainly can, but you'll just have to you'll have to find a day that in this first part, that you can maybe take a taxi and get a little bit ahead. So you go to Roncesvalles. Then on Tuesday, you go Roncesvalles to Zubiri. Zubiri, it's written with a Z, which sounds like a TH in most of Spain. Wednesday, you go from Zubiri to Pamplona. Pamplona is a great, super fun city. You know, they're a great food scene. Lots of people strolling in the city. Obviously, you might be there for the running of the bulls if you're there in July. I was not. I was there in June. Thursday, you go from Pamplona to Puente La Reina. Friday, you go from Puente La Reina to Estella. Saturday, you go from Estella to either Los Arcos, where most of the people stay, or on a little bit further to Sansol. I went on to Sansol, and one of my favorite hidden gem albergues of the Camino is there, and I have a video about that as well you'll want to check out. Sunday, you go from Los Arcos or Sansol to Logroño. Logroño is my favorite city, like city on the Camino de Santiago. The tapas, pinchos at like tapas are basically Spanish appetizers. They're called pinchos in the Basque language that's spoken in that part of Spain. Cheap, delicious, great wine, Rioja wine, less than €1 a glass. I found a craft brewery, like lots of fun stuff to do there. And then Monday, you're going to take, that's going to be a travel and rest day to get you to where you need to be in Galicia to be able to finish and get your certificate. So Monday, you'll take a bus to a city called Sarria, and you'll use the rest of the day as a rest day. Now, that first part is really designed to get your body used to the Camino. No day of those days is longer than 30 kilometers. I think the longest day is 28 kilometers if you go from Los Arcos to Logroño. You can shorten it by going to Sansol the day before. So that Monday you get to Sarria, you rest up, and then Tuesday you go from Sarria to Gonzar, or Gonzar with the Z. Wednesday you go from Gonzar to Melide, amazing octopus. Thursday you go from Melide to A Rua, and then Friday you go from A Rua to Santiago de Compostela. You arrive. And that's only a 21 kilometer day. So if you get started, at 6:37, you should be there by around noon. You can have a nice full day in Santiago and celebrate your accomplishment, get your certificate. But the 3 days before then are all longer. They're all 30 kilometer plus days. So you've had a rest day the day before and your body is more used to it. So hopefully, at this point it's ready for it. Then Saturday you get your bus or train or flight to wherever you need to be to then be positioned to fly back to the States on Sunday. Again, if you have extra days to play with, add more time in Galicia, add more time, maybe you can take a day or two in the meseta in the middle, but this is really designed for the people who want, want to make sure they get their certificate, but also have like that great first week with walking with people, meeting people, having that little Camino family, and seeing some of what is the most gorgeous landscape in all of Spain. All right, so my second itinerary is called the Traditionalist, or the I'll be back. This is somebody that I imagine knows they're going to have more time to do another Camino later, or to then pick up where they left off and finish that way, and just really wants a smaller bite of the full Camino experience, how it would be to walk it the whole way through. To make this work on the time frame, the way I say it, there is one day that involves a bus, a really short bus. You're basically just skipping one town, whereas in the last one you're driving across most of the north of Spain. But I'll give you a couple alternatives there. So again, you leave the States Saturday, you arrive Sunday, you get to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and then Monday you walk to Orisson. This is the place I mentioned in the last itinerary that I wasn't recommending for that itinerary. But here I think it might be nice to stay there, because then you can develop some relationships with people you may see for then the whole next 2 weeks. So, and that's a short day. That's less than 10 kilometers, but it is steep uphill. Check out my video describing that walk. It's gorgeous scenery, but it is very uphill the last half. Tuesday you go from Orisson to Roncesvalles. Wednesday you go from Roncesvalles to Zubiri. Thursday you go from Zubiri to Pamplona. Friday, Pamplona to Puente la Reina, so you see the same as the last itinerary. Saturday, Puente la Reina to Estella. And then Sunday, I recommend, if you didn't stay at Orisson, if you just went to Roncesvalles, then you would do Estella to Los Arcos or Sansol. You would just follow the same itinerary as before. But if you did stay in Orisson, then you're going to want to take a bus this day to Logroño. You're going to skip Los Arcos or Sansol, and you're going to go straight to Logroño. You're going to take a rest day then for the rest of that Sunday. Monday, you go from Logroño to Nájera, which is a really cool town, kind of built into these red rock formations. It made me think of Colorado. I wasn't expecting that. The landscape was really beautiful. That's Monday. Tuesday, you go from Nájera to Santo Domingo de la Calzada. Now, this is the day that yields that famous picture that you've probably seen posted by a lot of people who've walked the Camino Frances, where you're kind of standing up a little and you just see the path before you with fields everywhere. When I walked, it was still late June. It was probably one of the last days in June, and I was lucky because there was still green grass and there were still like red poppies in the fields. So it was still, I got a stunning picture. I think it's my cover photo in one of my videos. Wednesday, you walk from Santo Domingo de la Calzada to Belorado. Thursday, you walk from Belorado to San Juan de Ortega. Friday, you walk from San Juan de Ortega to Burgos. Burgos, it may be the biggest city on the Camino Frances. I'm not sure, but it has a gorgeous cathedral. And what's nice about finishing there too is then you can pretty easily transport to Madrid, to Paris, to some of the bigger cities that you may need to get to then fly home. So that's on a Friday. Each of those days is less than 30 kilometers. The longest day of those would be Logroño to Nájera. But if you've taken the bus the day before to get to Logroño, you've had a rest day. But in general, they're 21, 23, 24 kilometers. So that should be a good amount for your body. And of course, if you want to go further, if you want to see more, then make your days 30, 35 kilometers. But I just, I wish I'd even walked slower and stopped in more places. So then Saturday, if you do have an extra day, I highly recommend walking at least one day in the Meseta. After Burgos is when the Meseta starts. Go to Hornillas del Camino or Ontanas, and then you'll have to just take a taxi back to Burgos to then get where you need to go. That's my recommendation. And then you fly home Sunday. And then when you come back for your next bit of the Camino, then you can just start back at Burgos and keep going on. And then you could do the next part in 2 weeks, but it would be pretty rough. You might want a couple more days. I'll try to do a second 2-week itinerary later. So then my final itinerary is called the Sampler. This could be somebody that doesn't think they're going to get back and wants to see each bit of the Camino, but also at the same time doesn't care about getting their certificate. So this itinerary does involve more travel by buses to allow you to see more parts of the Camino. So this could also be good for somebody that wants more rest, doesn't mind getting from place to place by bus. So you leave on Saturday, you arrive Sunday, Monday, you go San Jean-Pied-Port, Roncesvalles to Zubiri to Pamplona. So that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Same itinerary as we were seeing before. Then from Pamplona on Thursday, you take the bus all the way to Burgos. So where we just ended on the last itinerary, that's where you're starting this time to get you that little sample of the Meseta. On Friday, you go from Burgos to Ontanas. Saturday, you go from Ontanas to Boadilla del Camino. Sunday, you go from Boadillo del Camino to Carrión de los Condes, which is a bigger city in this part of Spain, so there should be good bus connections after. So Monday, you take the bus from Carrión de los Condes, I don't know if it's Las Condes or Los Condes actually, to Astorga. Astorga is another great city on the Camino de Santiago, an amazing chocolate museum. If you go toward the end of the day, at least they gave us like unlimited samples. We literally, as the museum was closing, we literally just had unlimited samples. But it's a cool museum, really good Gaudi architecture there, and a nice cathedral. So you have a rest day in Astorga once you get there from Carrión de los Condes. Tuesday, you walk from Astorga to Fontcebadón. And then Wednesday, Fontcebadón to Ponferrada. This is another reason this is the sampler itinerary, because then you get to stop at the Cruz de Ferro, the Iron Cross, where traditionally people leave a stone that they brought from home or that they find along the way with whatever burdens they want to lift from their heart, any prayers they want to say. Maybe they're carrying the prayers of other people. So you get a chance to experience that. Thursday, you go from Ponferrada to Villafranca del Bierzo. Awesome, cool town that has dammed their river, so it created sort of like a city beach where a lot of locals like to hang out. I really like that city. I'd like to spend more time there. Probably pretty chilly in the winter because it's a higher elevation, but in the summer it was beautiful. This was mid-July. Then Friday, just to give you a tiny taste of Galicia, you go from Villafranca del Bierzo to Ocebrero. Ocebrero it's another tough day. You'll definitely remember your day walking the Roncesvalles, but it's a lot shorter of an uphill. But once you get to the top, the scenery is amazing. You feel like you're in, Celtic country. You feel like you're in Ireland. The architecture is totally different. I mean, it's a small town, but it's just a fun place to be. And then if you do have an extra day, so this is on Friday, if you can play with an extra day, just take a bus then on Saturday to Santiago. Or maybe you can do it so that your flight leaves from Santiago Saturday, connects, and then heads out. And that way, no, you don't get your certificate, but at least you've gotten to see the cathedral and gotten to Santiago. So I guess if you wanted my recommendation, if I were not so sure about how I was going to love the Camino, but I knew I wanted to try it, I'd probably try the sampler itinerary, because then, you'll know that if you loved it but you weren't going to do it again, you saw Santiago, you saw the Meseta, you saw Pamplona, you saw all the highlights, and you can feel satisfied. Otherwise, if I only had 2 weeks, knowing myself, I would do the traditionalist. I would just do the first 2 weeks, pause. It would be really hard, but then that would motivate me to go back and either do the full thing if I had the time then, or at least finish it up. So my voice is starting to go. I hope you guys appreciate this information. Not appreciate, but I hope this information is useful to you. Let me know any questions you have. If you like this, if you want any similar videos that discuss, maybe just, if you have other ideas for different itinerary plans, let me know. And I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks, guys.